Hi everyone, my name's Eva. I'm 19 from Monaghan, but I'm actually currently in Cork. I'm serving my gap year with Net Ministries and I'm in Bray 132, so if you're in Cork, please visit it on Washington Street. I'll be there, probably. But yeah, a little bit about me. So I am one of 10 kids. I come in at number 9. I have 8 older siblings and 1 younger sibling. I grew up in like a typical Irish home, I would say, pretty Catholic too, but pretty standard Catholic because I think it was more so part of our routine to be Catholic rather than our identity or part of who we were. So like really, once you lived in Mom's house, you went to Mass on a Sunday, you gave up sweets for Lent and you went to confession. Whenever Mom asked you to, again, you were just like confessing all the same sins really. I have to forgive, like my poor parish priest has to forgive me because I kept confessing that I was beating up my brother and that's the only sin I ever confessed. But anyway, I've grown from then, thank God. So our Sunday routine was really just like going to Mass on a Sunday. Because my family was into sport, we usually would have went to a Gaelic match and then had a Sunday roast, and faith wasn't really talked of outside of that. But I grew up like as a pretty typical Irish gal as well. I faced all the pressures of today's world. And because I had lots of older siblings, they often told me stories of their wild nights out or dreadful hangovers from rag week, but for some reason I just expected to follow along in that path and just thought that was absolutely okay because they seemed to have smiles on their faces when they were talking about it after. But I love my family growing up and I very much spent a lot of time with them because a lot of my siblings were older, even though they're in denial of that fact too. They were in relationships, so me being the younger sister, I tagged along in all of them and was the third wheel and the shadow of all relationships. My nosy self was thriving. Unfortunately for me, I couldn't spend all my time with my family, had to go to school, and that's really where my struggle, a lot of my struggles was in school. In primary school, I enjoyed school, you know, I kept my grades up, just went every day mostly. Well, my friends disagree. I loved a wee half day off, but school was good. And then in secondary school, I really found friends became a problem. So I just felt like no one was really accepting me for who I was, but I also wanted more than that. Like, I think people throw around the desire to fit in a lot, but I really wanted to be loved for who I was more than just accepted. And I just felt like my friends were not doing that at all. Like, I lived in town, so I'd often see them walking past my house just because they didn't invite me out, or I'd be the one girl who'd wake up from a sleepover with writing all over her face, and I couldn't understand why. I don't understand what I was doing wrong, but I kept trying to adapt to their standards. I just wasn't into gossip or boys really at that age, and I don't know what I was doing wrong, and I still don't. I wasn't doing anything wrong, I was just being me, and I just couldn't find comfort in who I was because I felt like the people around me weren't accepting me for that. And as a young girl, that was really hard because, you know, you're trying to find out who you are, trying to find your identity, and just people not accepting that was really hard, and I was just like really getting caught up in that, and constantly trying to change. My family really helped me with that, but I also found that outside of school, I was struggling with it too, because even at home, I have 6 older sisters, so we all fight to be daddy's little girl, you know, you always want to be the one that's got daddy around your little finger. But I know I'm daddy's little girl now, but we were all fighting for it, so when we were all together, we'd all have a list of reasons as to why we should be daddy's favourite, and if he ever slipped up and said he had a favourite, we were ready with the defence. So that kind of was affecting me at home as well. You know, I was constantly trying to justify who I was and why I was good enough, but it just didn't seem to be getting through to anyone, and I didn't really know where to turn to or where to go to find more comfort in who I was, or to be accepted. And I was kind of just like sitting with that for a few years in secondary school and just accepting that my friends maybe would grow and mature and accept me eventually. And I didn't even expect them to love me because I just didn't think they would. And then faith in my home started becoming more serious because my mom went to Medjugorje. And a little background, she took youth to Medjugorje, so she did a pilgrimage of young people every year since I was about 12. And she experienced a true conversion there although she had been raised Catholic and always been into the Catholic faith, she really, like, Jesus touched her heart in a different way, and she started taking her faith more seriously, really pushed us to go to adoration and like invest in the Mass more. And I just seen this little joy, little different thing about her. So I say I'm a curious person, but it's a nice way of just saying I'm nosy. So when I noticed this in her, I was kind of more intrigued at the faith, and I was like, Mom, I have to go to Medjugorje, I have to see what this is about, kind of thing. See if I can have this little change that you experienced. So first she was hesitant because I was quite young, but then when I was about 13, 14, she said I had given her enough reasons to come along. So I went to Medjugorje, and it's a beautiful place. If you've ever been, I just felt like there was a real sense of peace there and something different about it. And Our Lady definitely touched me there and started my attraction to the faith, but it's not where the Lord won over my heart. So anyway, I came back from Medjugorje with, just a more interest in the faith. And at this time, a few of my siblings were starting to look into the faith more seriously. We're just like going to adoration and really practicing and looking at the church's teachings and like questioning them and becoming faithful, really. So we're talking about this Youth 2000 retreat down in Newbridge. And I was like, oh, that sounds fun. Like, I was 15 at the time. I was kind of like, this sounds good. Matthew had like been describing them as Catholic oxygen or whatever, and I was like, well, I don't really know what to expect, but FOMO would have consumed me, so I had to go along. And because my sister is very good and let me shadow her relationship as always, her and her boyfriend stayed off site so that I could go along and go for the full weekend. And I didn't go to this retreat expecting to open up my heart to Jesus or to find loads of friends or anything like that. I honestly don't really know why I went, but it was God used my curiosity to get me there anyway. And he uses all things, he's great. But he used that for me. So anyway, went to this retreat in Newbridge, and there was so many young people practicing the faith, so that like really intrigued me and like made me happy to be there. And before this, I'd been to adoration a few times before, but only ever used it as the chance to clear my head of what happened that week or just going to please Mom kind of thing. But I distinctly remember adoration at this retreat. I sat with young people, around 100 or 200 other young people in adoration with Jesus on the burning bush. And if you've ever been blessed to be at Youth 2000 retreat, you know how beautiful adoration is there. And I had never experienced it like that. So I sat listening to the praise and worship music, looking at Jesus. And honestly, I was 15 and I don't even think I believed that was truly Jesus or understood adoration. But I gave it a go anyway, and it just took me looking at Jesus, and he just caught my attention. For once, I wasn't distracted. He had my full focus, and in that moment, which honestly, it could have been a moment, could have been an hour, I don't know, it felt like a moment. He just flooded my heart with love. He just filled me with peace that I honestly didn't even know you could feel peace. It's hard to understand, it's hard for me to explain, but I felt chosen in that moment. I'm laughing because I'm thinking like, he literally made me feel like the song, like the only girl in the world, as cringe as it sounds. That's what I felt like, and it just was like, whoa, like I didn't even really comprehend it after it happened, but I was like, I think I experienced Jesus, wow. So I was 15 and I didn't desire to change my life dramatically or didn't act upon it, but I just knew that Jesus had invited himself into my life. I had just given him that chance, and I opened my heart and he entered it so fully. So I could no longer deny him, and I was understanding what my siblings had become interested in the faith and why Mom had become interested in the faith. So I took it upon myself to become more interested, and I'd really encourage you to make sure you go to retreats or something that involves fellowship, because that's what really helped me. My siblings really pushed me with the faith, and just their example really, really helped. So I was still very much, and honestly I'm still attracted to the college lifestyle, but I know Jesus even helped me in that, because when I was trying to decide what to do for my gap year, lots of obstacles came in the way. But I now know that he always has my best intentions at heart, because I'm spending this year serving him, and I honestly couldn't be happier. My faith, I've always said, has made me a better person. It helps me to strive to be better, to want better for other people. I've got a greater capacity to love now because of it. And just all the lies I believed about myself and about God, like, just disappeared because Jesus filled my heart with love. And I'm so grateful for it. I love even that memory and that encounter with Jesus. It just makes me so happy every time I think about it. But I would just encourage you to do the same, to just open your heart. I really think COVID taught us one thing, is that the sacraments are not something we should take for granted. And now that we can have Mass again, and if you're blessed enough to have adoration, to go and to just invest and to just sit with Jesus and spend time with him, receive the sacraments. And if you haven't got to that level of faith yet, to just simply give Jesus the opportunity and open up your heart, spend time with him and just let him love you, because he let me know that I'm his little girl forever and always. I now know my worth. I love who God made me, and yeah, he just helps me in my everyday. So I'm praying for all of you. God bless.